Hi all and welcome to this video. In this video, we'll understand a little bit about what is Kubernetes and how did we get into the need of Kubernetes once we have discussed Docker. Okay, so let's start with one by one. So let's first write down what is Kubernetes, very basic. What is K8? So if you read in a textbook or if you go to the internet or somebody asks you, there is a very textbook definition available is that it's a container orchestration tool. So what container orchestration tool is that once we have a lot of Docker containers, we need to manage them. Like on our PC, there might be 10, 12, 15 containers that max we can build. But in the world of DevOps, in the real world, in an organization, you might have thousands of containers available with you. So you need to manage all those containers in one environment. So we need something. That something is called Kubernetes. Kubernetes is an open source released by Google few years back. So it's a container orchestration tool. But see, that's not the actual definition, because if we stop it at container orchestration, it will be very difficult for you to actually understand why did it come to the picture and what it actually does. So to understand what it actually does, let's first understand what were the problem with the Docker containers. Why did we stop at Docker and we needed to move to Kubernetes? Let's try to understand this one by one. So problem one with Docker was that containers are short-lived in nature. They suddenly die and revive anytime. So what do I mean by that? Let's say you have this physical machine with you and you have around 5 to 10 containers like running here, 10th container and first container, and you have this physical machine. So what happens is that imagine this first container somehow takes the most of the memory or the CPU usage of the physical machine. So what happens is that once it takes the memory up to like 90%, it will definitely impact the other containers. Let's say it impacts the 10th container. So the 10th container might not even start, or it might die. Because what happens is that suppose this all is running on a Linux operating system, and Linux have to decide, in case the memory is going up, in case the CPU usage is going too high, Linux or the kernel have to decide which process it needs to kill to free up some space. So it might happen that this 10th container might be dead or it might not get started. So the very first problem is the nature of this Docker container is dependent on single host. Okay, now let's move to the second problem. Okay, so second problem is, suppose our container gets, let me write again. Our container gets killed due to some reason. Okay, our container gets killed due to some reason, and now suppose we need to create that container again. So in the world of Docker, what happened is that if our container gets down, there is no way that it can be auto created. Are you getting my point? Somebody from the DevOps side or from the development team have to intervene or manually create the container. So no auto healing, which is really bad. Now comes the third problem. Now imagine one container here. Imagine one container here, C1, and that's Docker running on it. And this system has 4 GB, or let's say it has 2 GB of RAM, two CPUs. Now let's say it is utilizing almost 80% of the CPU, right? And it might happen that right now the user is like 1000, but suddenly tomorrow you might need to have more containers. Let's say let's say in an Amazon there is a sale going on, and it is expected that the number of users visiting us will be more than 1000. Let's say it's 1 lakh. So now since it is 1 lakh, you need more containers. Okay, you need more containers than 1000. Okay, so what happens is that you need to manually either create containers, or you need to automatically do that, right? So it becomes sort of very difficult to, you have to like write the Docker file again, and you need to tell you need 1 to 10 containers, or more than 10 containers, 12 containers, right? So in the Docker world, auto scaling was difficult. So I hope all the three problems are now very clear. The problem one was container are short-lived and they depend on single host. And the other problem was container gets killed due to some reason. Intervene, you have to manually like create the container again. And the third is that if you need to scale up or scale down your containers, auto scaling was tough. You have to manually again create the number of containers and descale the number of containers manually. So to resolve all these problems, we came up with this container orchestration tool, that is Kubernetes. Now how Kubernetes solve this issue? Kubernetes is cluster based. So it works on master node architecture. Like it has several masters, okay, and it masters have few worker nodes. Node 1, node 2, node 3. Similarly, this master will have some nodes, this master will have some nodes. I am drawing here just for an example sake, but you can suppose that you will have one master node and at least 5 to 7 worker nodes attached with that, or you can simply have one master node and 10 to 20 worker nodes attached with that. So what this cluster based orchestration does is that, suppose one of our containers takes too much CPU, memory or CPU. So what it does, it takes that faulty uh, container or pod. In terms of Kubernetes, we use pod terminology. It takes that pod and move it to the different node, right? So in that way, our container that was going to be affected due to one container taking so much memory, this does not happen. So it allows this thing called due to cluster based architecture. Okay, so our first problem is solved. It does not depend upon single host, it has multiple hosts, it has multiple worker nodes. Second problem it solved is of auto scaling. So Kubernetes have something called as replica sets. That's not the part of this series. We will understand Kubernetes in depth in some other series, but it has something called as replica set or replica controller sets. So in that replica controller set, you write this YAML configuration file, and in this YAML configuration file, you either tell them manually that, hey, now my containers are like 1 or 2, but since my user base is going to be increase in the future, it is expected to increase by 10 times, so you can write that you need containers to be replicated from 1 to 10 or from 10 to 50 depending upon your user requirement. Okay, so what it does is, it either you can manually do that in Kubernetes YAML file, or you can tell it to do it automatically. So once the user base gets to 10,000, Kubernetes, this replica controller set, will automatically scale up the containers to match the load requirement. So that is how it solves the second problem. The third important problem is auto healing. So what happens is that something called as API server in Kubernetes, what happens is, if some container is down, okay, and even before it is going to be down, and API server detects that other container is using so much memory that some of the other container might be effective, it automatically creates a new container. It starts a new container and direct the traffic over there. Okay, it does it using this something called API server. It rolls out a new container, and the end user will not even know that the container that was being used previously is being replaced by a new container. So I hope you have understand what all problems we were having with Docker and how Kubernetes have resolved all those problems. So guys, that was all about the Kubernetes in this video. We have understood that it is a orchestration tool, container orchestration tool, and now it might be more clear why we needed this tool and what all it does. So Kubernetes is a topic that we can stretch, we can create a separate series on Kubernetes as well, but that's the motive of this video. We'll keep it here short. You must have understood what Kubernetes is and why is there a need for Kubernetes. So again, thanks a lot for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.